In a cozy little town, nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling lake, lived a little girl named Daisy. She had a head full of dreams and a heart full of wonder, especially when it came to the night sky. Every evening, after the sun had dipped below the horizon, Daisy would rush to her window and gaze up at the twinkling stars. Each tiny speck of light up there held a special place in her heart, and her favorite was the brightest star of them all, which she liked to call the Sparkle Star. One night, however, as Daisy stood by her window, her heart skipped a beat. The Sparkle Star was missing. In its place was a dark, empty spot that seemed to mirror the hollowness in her chest. Where had her beloved star gone? Had it gone out like a flickering candle flame, leaving her in darkness? All these questions raced through her mind, and she couldn't help but let out a sob. At that moment, a gentle glow caught her eye. On the windowsill sat a tiny firefly, its light flickering softly in the twilight. And as Daisy watched, mesmerized, the firefly began to move. It drew a line in the air with its glowing body, and Daisy gasped as she realized what it was trying to say. Hello! Could it be? Was this magical firefly here to help her? With trembling hands, Daisy opened the window, and the firefly, as if understanding her wonder, flew inside. It was no ordinary firefly. Its light was a brilliant emerald green, and its wings seemed to shimmer with 1,000 tiny rainbows. As the firefly fluttered around the room, it continued to draw shapes in the air, and Daisy, with a mix of fear and excitement, followed its every move. The firefly flew to the window again, and this time it spelled out, "I am Flick. Your wish is my command." With those words, Daisy knew she had found something truly special, a magical firefly who was here to help her. But how could he help her find the missing star? Daisy took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She had to think of a question to ask for, but what could it be? Suddenly, it hit her. Why had the star gone out? With that burning question on her mind, she turned back to Flick, who was patiently waiting for her request. "Flick," she began, her voice shaking slightly. "Please tell me what happened to the star. Why has it gone out?" Flick, understanding the urgency in her voice, immediately began to move. He drew another message in the air. The star didn't go out. It fell down. Daisy's eyes widened. The star had fallen. But where could it be? And was it still shining? A million thoughts raced through her mind, but she knew she had to stay calm. She needed to focus on helping the star, whatever it took. As if sensing her turmoil, Flick began to move again, this time drawing a path in the air. He then flew towards the door, waiting for Daisy to follow. Without wasting a moment, Daisy slipped on her shoes and ran after him. Outside, the night air was cool against her skin, and the familiar street seemed like a magical wonderland under the soft glow of the street lamps. Daisy hurried after Flick, who was flying ahead of her, his light guiding her every step of the way. The little girl ran until she reached the edge of town, where the houses gave way to a dense, dark forest. The trees loomed over her, their branches intertwined to form a leafy ceiling overhead. Daisy hesitated for a moment. The forest was a place of mystery and shadows, and the thought of venturing in made her heart race. But the Sparkle Star was in trouble, and she knew she had to keep going. Taking a deep breath, Daisy stepped into the forest. As she moved deeper into the woods, Daisy noticed something strange. Tiny sparkles seemed to be following her path, lighting up the ground like a winding river of stars. And as she turned to look at Flick, she saw a mischievous smile on his face. With a wave of his magic wand, he had turned her path into a magical guide, ensuring she wouldn't lose her way. After walking for what felt like hours, the trees began to thin, revealing a clearing bathed in moonlight. And in the center of the clearing stood a magnificent oak tree, its branches reaching towards the sky like welcoming arms. As Daisy approached the tree, she noticed something incredible. Every leaf on the tree was shimmering with the same emerald green glow that Flick possessed. It was as if the entire tree was a beacon, calling out to her. But what did it mean? And would it lead her to the fallen star? With a mix of anticipation and wonder, Daisy decided to follow its silent invitation. As she reached out to touch the tree, a jolt of energy surged through her, and she gasped as a vision filled her mind. She saw a faint glow deep within the tree's roots, and she knew instinctively that this was the key to finding the fallen star. With renewed determination, Daisy knelt down and began to dig. The soil was soft and loose, and soon she felt something hard beneath her fingers. With a final heave, she pulled out a small wooden box. Its surface was intricately carved with images of stars and galaxies, and a tiny lock adorned its front. Clearly, this box held something precious, something worth protecting. But how could she open it? Suddenly, she heard a familiar buzzing sound, and Flick landed on the box, his light illuminating its carvings. As if understanding her confusion, Flick began to move, tracing patterns on the box that suddenly clicked into place. Daisy stared in amazement as the box unlocked itself, revealing a single, beautiful object inside. It was a vial filled with a shimmering silver liquid that seemed to hold the essence of the moon. As Daisy reached out to touch it, she felt a surge of power and knew instinctively that this was the key to saving the fallen star. But how could a simple vial of moonlight help a fallen star? Daisy pondered, determined to find a way. Her eyes fell on the magnificent oak tree, its leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Could it hold the answer she was seeking? As Daisy approached the tree, she noticed something peculiar. Every leaf that brushed against her skin left behind a tiny spark, just like the ones that had guided her through the forest. With a sudden burst of inspiration, Daisy began to gather the fallen leaves, each one shimmering with magical energy. She piled them up at the foot of the oak tree, creating a small mound that glowed softly in the moonlight. As she stepped back to admire her work, she noticed a single acorn lying nearby. It was unlike any acorn she had ever seen before, as it too shimmered with that same emerald green glow. Could this acorn hold the secret to saving the fallen star? With newfound determination, Daisy picked up the glowing acorn and tucked it into the pocket of her jacket. Then, holding the vial of moonlight close, she started back towards the path that Flick had created earlier. As she walked, she carefully uncorked the vial, letting the moonlight drip onto the path, creating a sparkling trail that seemed to lead straight to the fallen star. Following the path of moonlight, Daisy and Flick soon found themselves at the edge of the forest once again. Before them lay the town, now bathed in the soft glow of dawn. But it was the sight that greeted them in the sky that truly stole their breath away. The sparkle star was back. It shone brighter than ever before, its light piercing through the darkness and filling Daisy's heart with joy. With a grateful smile, Daisy watched as the sparkle star took its rightful place in the night sky. Beside her, Flick, the magical firefly, buzzed softly, his emerald glow dimming as the first rays of sunlight touched his wings. It was time for him to return to Firefly Hollow, his home among the stars. As Daisy waved goodbye to her magical companion, she knew that their paths would cross again when the night sky called to her once more. With a heavy heart, but a spirit full of wonder, Daisy turned to go home. The adventure had been both thrilling and exhausting, and she couldn't wait to curl up in her bed and dream of stars. But as she walked, she couldn't help but glance back at the sky, wondering if the sparkle star twinkled a little brighter just for her. As the sun peeked over the horizon, casting its warm glow over the town, Daisy's day began like any other. But she knew that she was different now. She had ventured into the unknown, faced her fears, and saved a fallen star. And she knew that no matter how dark the night might seem, a little bit of courage and a lot of heart could light up even the darkest sky.